Yo, how's it going? We're going to try to make this short and sweet, so it'll probably take 2 hours. The phrase is thought-terminating phrases. Okay, this is what they call you a racist, they call you a Nazi, they call you names. And then after they said it enough, the collective of minds in the world, in your country, of like-minded people, they start seeing things that ain't there, right? So the natural defensive posture for that is, oh, I can't say that, they'll think I'm a racist. You know what I mean? If I'm trying to address a certain crowd, you know, you take your hat off when you go in the house at some people's house. You know what I mean? And then because I got that thought, that'll stop me from, you know, wearing a hat in the house, but also like different types of hats or even discussing the hat. Not a very good analogy, but there you go. So the thought process is terminated in the average person because what that guy said was racist, or what that guy said was sexist, or, you know, they're anti-Semite or whatever, and that stops the discussion. You see what I'm saying? So when these things happen to us, that is a direct violation of our person. We have been abused in our mind. Okay, so when these people have done this to this next generation, now they don't have equity in nothing, and, you know, they got to finance a pizza to have, you know, dinner. They're working 2 jobs. Where's that gonna? What happens after that? Where are these people going to be when they're 30 and, you know, buy now, pay later, that ruined their credit, and it's time for them to buy a house and they can't, and they see it coming because they're not stupid. They're young, but they're not stupid. The buying power is half of what it was when my dad was a kid. You know what I mean? And sucking up buttercup and getting done only goes so far. The reality is that people that are college age are in the most debt ever, and looking at a lot of the careers going to AI and everything else like that. I know a lot of people driving trucks that are concerned that the truck's going to drive itself, and what am I going to do? Blah, blah, you know? So these are real concerns. But the phrase that needs to be on everybody's lips, so we all, you know, actually start coming around to our senses, is thought-terminating phrases. That's the enemy. That is the enemy. I heard that from Charlie Clerk. He's the one that said that. And I was like, bro, that is exactly what it is. And you look at, you know, why do we have revolutions and stuff like that? You know, what typically is it? You know what I mean? Like who's going to fight for a country they don't own? You know what I mean? So, like, the communists are coming against us, and then Charlie got real close to all the key points to unravel the communist takeover of the United States. That's why he was killed. Now, for that level of assassination, you know what I mean? Because he was assassinated, and then they're going to say certain things to, you know, terminate the thought. They're going to use a phrase to terminate your critical thinking into, well, if this happened, how, who, what, when, why? You see what I'm saying? So if you're the Chinese Communist Party and you want to fight your enemy where they are not, you don't want to, like, you know, have a big shootout at the OK Corral. You know what I mean? You just want to, like, you know, maybe do some financial stuff, or, you know, influence the culture, or pit one against the other, so that as they divide, they weaken. And then, you know, apply all of these things. We're talking a full court press against the United States of America. And then they want us to think that we're doing it to ourselves. That's the craziest part about it. They hire in. They take whatever person's got greed, and they get into our system. So these foreigners get in here and they get to our representatives and our electeds and all this kind of stuff like that, and they use that to try to come against us. They try to tear down Jesus so we don't have spiritual covering in the high places, and then they use corruption and greed and, you know, island visits to coerce, and then threats of violence, and then they just went out there and blow Charlie's neck out to say, hey, we can touch any of you at any time. And it's all bully. It's all bully, 100% bullies. I don't like a bully. I ain't putting up with no bully. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a sheepdog, right? Never a wolf. I am a sheepdog. Never a wolf, never a sheep. I am the sheepdog. And you are too. And it's this right here that makes you who you are. So I'm going to say this again, and I'm going to get off here. Thought terminating phrases. That is the enemy. And yeah, that's a big deal. Please share this with all your friends, and send it to your dad and your local politicians. Thought terminating phrases. The remedy: critical thinking skills. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Let's get this back into the head of the kids, and let's start them new businesses so these kids got someplace to work where they have meaning and movement, and they can own. Therefore, they will strive. Therefore, they will have a good family. It's really worth doing. All right, Raquel, go get them.